And the reason I think I can get through this is something I learned while Becky was in hospice house. And just a steady stream of visitors came in. And somewhere along the line, the question would come up, well, how'd the two of you meet or whatever? And no matter what kind of a down mood I might have been in, before they asked that question, I was in a good mood when I got to tell the stories. And so I'm thinking that I can do this, but if I can't, Sandy's going to come in and take over for me. And I'm going to read this because Becky would tell you that sometimes I get to digress and get off subject. I could miss a whole page here or something. And so I'm reading this, and just bear with me. I don't really remember the first time I saw Becky, but I definitely remember the first time I talked to Becky. It was in the lab of the old science building at Union College in Lincoln, Nebraska. It was the school year of 67, 68, so you know how far back we go in this story. Several of us were working on a lab project in the room there when Becky started a conversation. She shared with us that she was Amish. And since the Amish did not have a school of their own, she had come to Union College to become an Amish priestess and return to her people and minister to them. If I had looked around the room then, like I am now, I might not have been quite so clueless. I probably would have seen some smiles and some smirks. But I couldn't take my eyes off of Becky. Soon after that conversation, her boyfriend came to the lab door. And she left. I must have been fresh off the farm, because I went back to the dorm and asked everyone if they knew Becky March, the Amish girl. Several seemed to know a Sandra March and a Glenda March, but they weren't Amish. So, no clue. I don't know when I found out that our first conversation together was a complete fabrication. But it put Becky square in the middle of my radar. God had a plan. It wasn't until the end of that school year when each of us were asked to represent Union College to the seniors visiting for college days from our respective academies. For Becky, it would have been Sunnydale Academy, over near Centralia, Missouri. For me, it was Maplewood Academy up in Minnesota, near the Twin Cities, that God brought us together again. As a representative, we were able to sit at a table together and talk with each other. Although, strangely enough, neither one of us have any recollection about what. Everything just seemed to fade into the distance when Becky was around. Sometime shortly after that, I managed the nerve to ask her for our first date. She accepted, and we went to a movie for a class benefit at College View Academy. Apparently, again, we only had eyes for each other, since, once again, neither one of us knew what the movie was. We dated throughout the summer and throughout our sophomore year. During this time, I got to visit Becky and her family several times at Sunnydale. On my first visit, I was in the bathtub, and an arm with a glass of water poked through the window above the tub. And I was hit by the icy cold liquid. I jumped out of that tub, got dressed as fast as I could, and I went to find Becky. It seemed that several people were in on the joke. Don't take the punchline from me. It seemed that several people were in on the joke, and all were pointing to Becky's mother, Myrna. Apparently that was Myrna's way of welcoming the new boyfriends. It became clear where Becky got her sense of humor. We were married on June 15th, 1969, but our finances were such that it dictated that I finish school at Northern State Teachers College in Aberdeen, South Dakota. South Dakota being my home state, and the tuition there cheaper than what Union was. It was during this time in South Dakota that our family grew to include our beautiful daughter, Tracy. And our lives were changed forever, for the better. God had a plan. I completed my schooling after doing 9 weeks of student teaching to the 1970-71 school year. I remember how I hated to tell Becky the news that I was not going to graduate in my senior year, but would have to finish the following year because we just couldn't get the student teaching done. She had worked several odd jobs to help put me through the school. We both knew it would be a very difficult situation to find a teaching job 9 weeks into a new school year. God had a plan. After much prayer, we decided that we wanted to be in church work, and we headed back to Lincoln, Nebraska. We had no idea if there were any job openings, but we knew that we could stay with my sister, Sandy. Where are you, Sandy? I've lost you. There you are. And her husband, Forrest, for a few nights, or however long it took us to find a place to rent for ourselves. I remember it being a Monday night. We pulled into Lincoln outside of Sandy's house, and she came running down the stairs. She said, "Get your clothes changed. There's 2 people looking for teachers." 7:30, okay? 7 o'clock we get to town, 7:30. I'm up at the college talking to Charles Case, who was the superintendent of the conference at that time, about a job at Shawnee Mission. Now, I had grown up on an Indian reservation in South Dakota, and I did not think it would be a problem to work at a mission in Kansas. Needless to say, Becky and I were both shocked when we found out Shawnee Mission was a suburb of Kansas City. Also, years later, I would find out that it was Becky who actually got me the job at Midland. Candy Seltman, who's here someplace, I think. Where are you, Candy? Back there, okay. And Rose Drake were on the school board at the time. And it was Rose Drake that shared this story with me as they were on this later when what happened at the school board. During the discussion, Rose Drake said, "I don't know Keith Vollmer from any of the other applicants, but I know Becky. If he's good enough for Becky March, he's got to be okay." God had a plan. We were immediately made to feel at home at Midland. Parents and staff provided food and friendship. The students were cooperative and caring. A new teacher could not have asked for a better start. And Midland would become our home for the next 40 plus years. God had a plan. Thanks to a New Haven church member, Mrs. Airy, who at the time I believe was the head of medical transcription at Shawnee Mission Hospital, Becky became a medical transcriptionist. During her 35 years as a transcriptionist, she would type for nearly every type of doctor, at least it seems like it. Orthopedic, neurology, oncology, nephrology, cardiology, rheumatology, pulmonary, OBGYN, neurosurgery, and plastic surgery. Many of those jobs allowed Becky the freedom of doing the typing at home. This allowed her to be a stay-at-home mom, since our family had grown to 4 with the birth of our son, Adam. Again, changing our lives forever with the addition of our very own Adam Bomb. Becky always wanted to be there for our children, and I believe she always was. She always put them first in whatever was going on in our lives. And with the addition of grandchildren, Paige, Aiden, Peyton, Roman, later Jennifer's children, Eli and Meadow, as well as Sheila's son, Jacob, Becky's desire to be there for the family grew as she provided love and support for each one of us. God had a plan. Setting her own hours also gave her the ability to work on artistic endeavors and projects around the house. In 2004, on a visit to my brother Ken and Linda's home in Lincoln, Nebraska, Linda showed Becky some painted furniture that she had purchased. They would go down to a boutique, see some more furniture there, and along with Carl's painting, these things inspired Becky to continue a passion for painting that she pursued throughout her life. During all those years, Becky was also actively involved in school and church activities. She assisted and led out in the children's division of New Haven Church for over 20 years. She often helped me at Midland by going on class trips, assisting with class benefits, social activities, and as a girls' sponsor on several trips to Broken Arrow Camp. Our familiar routine would drastically change in 2009 when it was discovered that Becky had breast cancer. And so began our 7-year battle with this terrible disease, a struggle that ended on October 7, 2016, but not before we experienced much love and encouragement from family, friends, and church members. Thanks to Martha and Terry Maddox, we were introduced to a juicing regimen nearly 2 years ago that allowed Becky to lose over 50 unwanted pounds, strengthen her immune system, give her energy, and greatly improve her quality of life. Thank you both for your loving thoughtfulness. God had a plan. Throughout this struggle, Becky remained firm in her love and trust in the Lord, constantly praying that one day she and her family would be reunited in God's heavenly home. God has a plan.